Hello Super Relaxed Fantasy Club, it's Matt Hill here. Big thanks for having me along, Phil and crew. It's been really fun catching up with everyone else's videos, really nice to be involved. I hope you're all keeping safe and well and sane-ish. I'm out here in my little writing hutch in Derbyshire, where I spent the last 5-6 weeks doing my day job and not doing any writing, which I think in the circumstances is fine. I'm going to do a little reading today from my book The Breach, which was published with absolutely amazing timing in mid-March. It's a book about a steeplejack and urban explorer called Shep and a local journalist called Freya, who are brought together when a very strange nest is discovered in a bunker in the Lake District. I actually did read from this at Super Relaxed Fantasy Club Live back in February in King's Cross, when I was there with Anne Charnock and Greg Shivers, which already feels about 10 years ago. So I'm going to read a similar passage again, or set of passages, and hopefully that's cool. Cheers. So this is from Shep's perspective, the first time he breaks into the bunker at the heart of the story. The steeplejack. Shep can pull chins on a door frame with only his little fingers, so the 10-foot brick wall at the bunker's site boundary is as easy as it comes. He runs at the slab of it and springs both-handed to its coping stone, hauling himself up in one fluid motion. Standing on that skinny border, he already has to manage his breathing. The sight beyond the wall is a lightless pool. He pulls on his dust mask and his head torch and quickly double-checks the scrambler and helmet are covered by the bushes. He sweeps his torch across the site. Vague outlines emerge. The ruined foundations and strewn masonry of a levelled out building. The crude parallelogram of the bunker's concrete entrance. His heart is going, and his breath rasps through the mask filter. He shakes out his arms and sweeps the torch vertically. Mechanical parts are scattered between him and the bunker door. He turns off the torch to wait and check. The stars glower through the canopy. This then is the edge. Balanced with one arm, rocking over on himself, Shep twists the torch back on and looks for a place to land on the other side. Imagine you're standing on a ledge of cold, wet slate. His toes pulse with strain as he leans over. At the wall's base is a concrete border studded with broken glass, rusty nails, and metal offcuts. He nods, faint nausea like an affirmation. In some ways he expected worse than sharps, the substandard measures really, but figures the bunker being hidden counts in his favour. Dogs and glue traps are standard in more built-up areas, and sonic barriers aren't out of the question. Not that sharps are easy, mind, he's definitely taken some tetanus shots in his time. Shep sits on the wall and unties his bootlaces. The torchlight falls onto him, jangling between his knees as he swaps the boots for rubber darts, which are a bit like covered ballet pumps. He stretches out the rubber with his toes, then folds the boots into his bergen. He turns off his head torch, transfers his weight over his knees, and launches from the walls inside. The breach is on. Shep goes low through the grounds, closing on the sloped concrete lintels of the bunker entrance. A sharp thrill to find its surfaces unspoiled by graffiti. He gathers pieces of machine debris and wraps them with canvas strips, a bin bag for rain cover. He straps this bundle to his rucksack and takes out his aging camera. It's dicey pausing here, so he reconsiders and continues towards the bunker entrance. Drilled, trained, alone by design. There he takes 2 flashless pictures of the land he crossed, as level as he can manage. The first in raw format to fiddle with later, the second stabilised but overexposed to get an impression of his surroundings. He reviews them. They're grainy, yeah, but useful. Nothing stands out even as nothing is familiar. The aerials he saw in the pub toilet have no relationship with the terrain. Then he twists on the torch again. The darkness jumps back 30 yards. There's a code box on the door shell, so he applies a skeleton string. A mechanism stirs and the door clunks open. Soil raining from the frame. The smell of must and metal. Shep takes out a wooden stopper and wedges the door. The bunker's entranceway gapes, wet and warm, pale stones under a well-worn earthen path which in the torchlight resemble fossils. Shep's leading foot brings him out of the wind. He has his hands on the walls, and his skin crawls at the sound of dripping, the wind across the entrance. His tongue is thick in his mouth. Now only the habit will keep him down here, practice and persistence. He can't see what's dripping, and that makes it louder. Another set of deep breaths to try and slow things down before he creeps on. 1 step, 2. As he rounds a corner, the wind dies off completely, and the Lake District is gone. He's crossed the second boundary now, and the acoustics change with it. He's vaguely conscious of his eyes watering. Shep soon reaches a vaulted antechamber, as dark and indefinite as the sight appeared from up on the wall. Brown fluid leaks from what might be a run of shower fittings in the roof. The pools beneath crackle and splash. There's still no graffiti. When he hears a weak scratching, he stops. To deal with fear, you have to reimagine the threat. So because Shep can't shut his eyes and won't dare, he tries to do just that. Remodels the space as the foyer of a hotel, connecting to a corridor that leads off towards its suites. If he holds his head torch at a certain angle, the rough floor passes for carpet. He puts a hand to the slick wall and smells again the age of the place, the stagnancy. His breath, condensing on the mask, has started running down his chin. As Shep goes to wipe his eyes, he stumbles on something soft. He cries out, then gags himself with his sleeve. The scream echoes, travelling deep inside, and his back ripples with cold trepidation. Look, don't touch. Just beyond his vision, an animal flutters. It makes an injured-sounding moan of its own. Shit, Shep breathes. And with that, the rasping pinballs from hidden wall to hidden wall, then comes at him, a thought exploding and taking his oxygen. It's charging me. Shep braces, wanting badly to shit, but the animal veers around him, a glimpse of it moving low and fast. He tries to follow its trajectory, the ticking, and half expects a set of eyes to be glinting back from the gloom, but nothing enters his cone of torchlight. He taps the wall to try and coax the creature forward, see it, confront it. He taps again, nothing. He's twitching, aware of the sweat between his toes, his buttocks, the heat behind his ears. He fires his camera flash once to saturate the corridor ahead. In that whited out instant, there are no animals. Instead, he glimpses what occupies the bunker. Walls covered with creeping plants and moss, gnarled shadows, flaking paint, mineral deposits forming tiny stalactites in the pitted roof. Spider webbing strung wall to wall. Is this a blast shelter? Some paranoid's bolt hole? He fights a rising gullet to carry on, loose straps tapping his wrapped salvage. This is the stuff you struggle to put in your reports. The smell, the taste, the way your body will make itself smaller until your back aches with tension. The marble of moulding fabrics, the colour of standing water, the alien heaviness of equipment left in corners under tarp, lost to the appetite of nature's little helpers. Obsolescence and entropy twine and knot in these back pockets of Little England. In them, brick and vegetation fuse and grow together, form a kind of subterranean nervous system. Exploring is exhilarating because you never know how a changed environment will react to your presence. It scares you in some vital way, and you can never fail to be scared because exploring is fear itself. The tapping starts again. Cheers, that's me. So yeah, that was from The Breach. Thanks again for having me on. Take care of yourselves, and I hope you see you all very soon for a beer. Cheers.